Welcome back to Review Crew. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Gabe. On today's episode, we're going to review The Batman. Tim and Laura are going on the spot to review Quest for Fire.
Here's the trailer for The Batman.
Police! Hands up! Stay still! Get out of here!
Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning. I've been trying to reach you.
Fire the gun!
This is about a king, and Ritter's the match.
I can take care of myself.
If this continues, it won't be long before you've nothing left.
I don't care what happens to me.
It's only gonna get worse for you.
Whoa, take it easy, sweetheart. Hear everything they say, ain't you?
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you under there?
I'm vengeance.
What's black and blue and dead all over? You. Dear God. I got you! I got you!
Now, Dylan, we have been waiting for this movie for a long time.
Yeah.
I remember where we were, 2020, DC Fandom, watching the trailer for The Batman and thinking, oh my gosh, I want to watch it right now. Just about 2 years later, we're here. We've seen The Batman. I don't know about you. I've seen it twice. I'm probably going to see it again because this movie is killer. I can't wait till it goes on HBO Max. One of the things that I think people were most hesitant about this movie was the fact that Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman.
I actually think I was one of those people.
Yeah.
At first I was like, what? Like Robert Pattinson? But then when you really get into the movie, you watch his performance and Batman, him as Batman in the suit is perfect, in my opinion. A lot of people are complaining that he's too quiet. In my opinion, that adds to the performance. I think his subtlety of his movements and just how he looks is just Batman. It screams Batman. There's one scene in the movie, not going to give anything away, but someone talks to him and he doesn't respond at all. But you completely understand what he's doing just based by how he looks at the guy.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with you. I think this is a film that made some very brave casting choices.
Yes.
Colin Farrell as Penguin. I would never have thought about that in a million years.
Yeah.
But I think those risks, a lot of them paid off. We talked about Robert Pattinson as Batman. I did not love him as Bruce Wayne. He felt very broody, which I know is how... It's a very comics accurate way that Bruce Wayne has been presented before. And so maybe it's just an issue of my preference, but I like Bruce Wayne to be the mask that Batman wears.
Yeah.
That's how I always interpret the character. I do agree with you when he's in the suit, I'm just gonna say it, I think he's the best Batman that we've seen on screen. I think that this movie had the intention of showing him be the world's greatest detective, and so I think there's these moments where he's just this silent shadow in the background of these crime scenes, and he's absorbing everything, and then he just kind of slinks away back into the darkness to solve these crimes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a Batman that we haven't seen presented before on screen, and I love it. Even though I wasn't crazy, like I said, about the Bruce Wayne aspect of it, this movie is called The Batman. And so if you can nail Batman, it's going to be great. Now, like we said, other casting choices. Colin Farrell as Penguin, I was eating out of the hand by the time this was over.
Well,
like it was.
honestly, I think if anything is the most over-the-top performance, it is Colin Farrell. as
Oh,
Penguin.
100%,
But
yes.
that being said, it works.
Yep.
It kind of works for this world. He's like kind of like a bit of like just brings you out of the seriousness of the moment, and he's just kind of a fun character.
He's a fun character.
And Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman is
Oh
just
my gosh.
she nails it. Paul Dano as the Riddler, I loved it. And even the smaller roles like John Turturro as
That's
Carmine
exactly what I was
Falcone
gonna say.
is it's great. It's perfect casting. It feels perfect to the world that Matt Reeves is establishing. And Gotham City feels like a character of its own. Like this is probably the best depiction of Gotham we've ever gotten. And there's 10 Batman movies?
This is previously I would have said Tim Burton's version of Gotham because Tim Burton, he's very good at establishing his setting. You know, you see it and it's a Tim Burton world.
I kind of feel like the Burton Batman is kind of like to me at least, it's like the classic comic Batman. And this is the modern take that people are kind of getting more familiar with, especially after the Dark Knight trilogy, that it's kind of like a grounded, gritty, dark place that it's just, you know, it's not really fun.
Well, yeah, this is a very post-Joker Gotham City.
Exactly.
And so that, I don't want to say depressing nature, but this is a Gotham that's going through a lot of stuff. You know, there's corrupt officials. Stuff isn't getting done. It's dirty. It's filthy. And it feels lived in. It feels like an active city. You know, these murders that are happening, they don't feel out of place. Unfortunately, it's something you can see happening. Now, we were talking about performances, and there's two performances for me that just did not hit. First, Andy Serkis as Alfred. I didn't love it. He was a little bit better than Jeremy Irons, but
I'm gonna actually have to disagree with you there. I thought he did a pretty solid job. Like,
yeah,
for what he was given, he's not in a whole lot of the movie actually. But the scenes that he is given, in my opinion, like it works for the movie. It actually is very emotional. There's one scene with him and Bruce that I was like, that's kind of perfect. That feels they nailed the relationship between the two of them. I feel like.
I just felt like they didn't nail the fatherhood relationship that Alfred and Bruce have. Now, that could be because this is the first. You know, Batman's only been, or Bruce has only been Batman for 2 years, so there's room to grow in that relationship. So maybe I just need to be more patient. But in just this individual whole, I didn't love his performance. The other performance that I didn't care about, and we got a deleted scene that unfortunately kind of reinforced it for me. Slight spoiler warning, and I guess this applies to the whole of the review. Yeah. If you haven't seen The Batman, maybe this is where you want to turn it off, go get movie tickets, see Batman, and then come back right where you were. Barry Keoghan as Joker. We got a deleted scene that was very Silence of the Lambs like, where Batman is consulting Joker and asking these questions. I strongly disliked the costume design for Joker. I think it was pretty abysmal. But more than that, I just could not jive with his performance of the Joker.
Yeah. Now that you said that, like when I was watching the actual movie, he is in a short sequence in the actual film. That was probably the only scene that took me out for a second. I was like, wait, that was a little... And like up until that moment, I was loving it. And it was, I kid you not, the only thing that made me sit back and I was like, maybe that wasn't the best choice.
And so it must be said that the role of Joker is one where the shoes to fill are massive.
Yes.
Besides, obviously, Joaquin Phoenix and Jack Nicholson, you know, there's the amazing performance by Heath Ledger. But I just don't think Barry Keoghan nailed it. But we'll be right back after this.
OTN is on all your favorite apps Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Search Orange Television Network or OTN. OTN has its best shows, short films, and Citrus TV on demand. Family and friends can watch OTN too. Watch the live stream of OTN to catch live Citrus TV news, live from Studio B, and mornings on the Hill. On or off campus, watch OTN anywhere.
Welcome back, guys. We're talking about The Batman. So, Gabe, we were just talking about performances.
Yep.
We said we loved a lot of them, but I know that we both loved the score of this movie.
Yes, the score of this movie. First off, Michael Giacchino can do no wrong.
Coming right off of Spider-Man, too,
Like,
which
he
I
came
thought
off-
was also great.
I mean, my first exposure to him, of course, was the Up theme,
Yeah.
which is just a piece of music that conjures these deep emotions from that montage that I think we all remember. But his Batman score is, in some ways, it's flighty. You know, there's some hopeful moments where everything starts reaching a crescendo. But then there are these low, deep moments that kind of harken back to how Matt Reeves has designed Gotham in this.
Yeah.
And so it's weird, and I'm probably overanalyzing the score because I love film
No,
music.
I don't think you are. I really think it added a lot to the character of Batman. Like, there are parts of it where it's very dark and very mysterious, like Batman is, and then it's very triumphant.
Yeah.
And it's, the Batman is also hope, which is, one of the messages of the movie.
The scene where Batman is kind of flying and then he crash lands.
Yeah.
That's
Which I love too. Just
Yes,
'cause
it was
it's
it kind of felt like an MCU style
he's
scene.
he's not the perfect superhero
Exactly,
yet,
and I'm fine with that. This is Batman year 2.
Yeah.
He's not, he's not the Arkham City version of Batman who's been doing this for 20 years. He's not the Dark Knight.
which was basically Ben Affleck's Batman.
Exactly.
So it's just a good disparity between the two. I feel
100%. It was a good way to move us away from a version of Batman. I didn't think the performance of Batman is bad as much as the Martha, how do you know that name that we all want to forget. But the scene where he's flying and then he crash lands, that's kind of how I interpret the score. There are these moments where Batman's saving this city, There's an amazing ending scene where the music swells
Yeah.
and
I mean, in your shirt too, like
Exactly.
inclusion of
Something in the Way by Nirvana comes in, and it's just maybe that lens to the broody, slightly emo idea of this movie, but it doesn't feel out of place at all. And so the way that Michael Giacchino has made his score, we feel at home in Gotham because of the music.
Yeah.
Now, the one other big thing for me for this movie was the absolutely delightful cinematography.
Oh my God. In my opinion, this is the best looking Batman movie we've ever gotten.
100%.
And there are some good looking Batman movies out there. There are some Nolan shot Batman movies out there, so they're saying that. But the shots in this movie, you can just tell, every single shot was meticulously crafted.
Yep.
He puts, I can just tell Matt Reeves and I'm not sure who the cinematographer is, but they put so much work into the cinematography of this movie because it just looks beautiful. That's really what it comes down to. It just looks great.
So, fun fact for you. The DP behind this was also the DP behind Rogue One. Now, if you're not a regular listener to the Review Q's podcast, go on Spotify, check out our Star Wars review because we had lots of thoughts on Rogue One. But there is a scene in Rogue One where Darth Vader storms down the hallway and he's, brandishing his sword, comes out of the darkness, and it's amazing. In the same vein, there's that scene where Batman is just going through this hallway and it's illuminated by these gun bursts. And it's a revolutionary type shot.
Yeah.
Because, first off, the lighting behind it, excellent. Using the
It's
gunfire.
funny that you say that too, because I know two of like the hardest things to shoot in like Hollywood literally are like Darth Vader and Batman's costume because they're so dark.
They're so dark.
But
Exactly.
every shot of the suit,
Yep.
every shot of the suit is like a work of art. It looks amazing in that final sequence where he does the red flare and he's saving all those people. It's just peak Batman.
And just
Yeah.
the sunrise over the stadium at the end is just, it's breathtaking because this is a movie that is very much happening at night. There's a couple of scenes at like dusk, sunset, and I believe one in the day maybe. Yeah. But the rest of this is a tale about, you know, what goes bump in the night essentially.
Yeah.
And that decision to close at sunrise kind of lends itself to the idea that you previously mentioned, the idea that Batman is hope. Yeah. Because this version of Gotham, like we said, has gone through a lot. There's corruption, some of it that Bruce is closer to than he would like, that he doesn't quite know yet. Maybe setting up for some of the coolest villains in modern comic history, the Court of Owls. That's at least my prediction. Yeah. And so the fact that the sun rises and, you know, we get this idea of the bat signal coming into the sky, you know, how it cuts through the darkness, this hope. It's just, it's amazing. And
it's like when the movie started, I didn't even realize that's what the message they wanted to portray. Yep. But it's right in your face. Yep. He starts the movie, he is a brooding, mean, he just wants to beat the crap out of criminals, basically. Mm-hmm. But he even himself realizes he has to be more than that. Yep. And I just think that's a beautiful thing to make your message of your Batman movie. Yeah. And I think it's something that we don't see often in superhero movies.
Yeah. Now, we talked about the good, the bad. There's nothing ugly. It's a movie with Robert Pattinson. Nothing's going to be ugly in this movie. What would you rank this film from 1 to 10?
I'm going to rank this movie a solid 9. I think it really deserves its spot in the Batman filmography. It is drastically different from other Batman movies. It really just, it nailed it.
Yeah. So for me, this is an 8. I know that you didn't mind his portrayal as Bruce Wayne as much as I did, or you didn't dislike it. I apologize, but
it's almost like he's just Batman the whole movie.
Yeah. So for me, I really didn't like that, and then Joker, I found pretty bad. But all in all, it was a great movie, worth the wait, and I'm very excited for a sequel.
Me too.
Yeah. We'll be right back after this break. That's all for this week. If you want to follow more Review Crew content, go to the Review Crew Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, as well as Orange TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube.
Find the Review Q's podcast on Spotify or on our website at orangetvnetwork.syr.edu, where you can also find our blog and more OTN information.
Check out this week's screening hosted by University Union in Kanto. Also, be sure to check out Friday Night Movie Night on OTN. This week's movies are Father's Little Dividend, Attack of the Giant Leeches, and Little Shop of Horrors.
See you next week.